together for so many years. Everyone thought marriage was only a matter of time. Friends from both sides kept asking, when's the wedding happening? I used to imagine our little home, quiet evenings with you and children laughing. I even secretly chose names for our future kids during the days I loved you most. I believed the person who held my hand the longest would be the one beside me forever. But sometimes time isn't enough to keep people together. I truly thought you'd marry me, thought we would build a family someday, thought the promises we made while young would eventually become real. But in the end, you were only the person who stayed the longest, not the person who stayed forever. And the saddest part is I was so certain about us. When we broke apart, everyone was more shocked than we were, because nobody believed two people who loved that deeply could still lose each other. I slowly erased the future we planned, even the baby names I once chose. Some dreams never even got the chance to begin before they had to be abandoned. Sometimes the person who makes you believe in forever becomes the one who teaches you that not every long love story gets a happy ending. I truly thought you'd marry me, so much that I never imagined another ending. Now whenever I see someone in a wedding dress, I only see pieces of my youth left behind. Oh, if someday you meet someone you truly want to marry, I hope you love her more carefully and never make her spend her youth waiting for a future that never comes. Back then we loved with all we had, in a tiny room chasing better days. I was stuck between unfinished dreams while you were lost in fears of growing up. Every time we passed a wedding shop, you'd smile and talk about the future. I stayed silent and looked away, 'cause all I had were promises. We never stopped loving each other. Life just got too heavy to hold. Two young hearts full of pressure, not knowing how to save what we had. Maybe we were the right people at the wrong time. I wasn't strong enough to give you peace, and you weren't ready to walk through the storms with me. And every fight became about money, about work, about dreams, about tomorrow. We hurt each other with words we never meant, until love was no longer enough to make us stay. Years later we met again by chance at the cafe where we used to sit. You look calmer than before, and I finally look like someone with direction. We talk like strangers with old memories, but our eyes still carried unfinished feelings. 'Cause deep inside both of us, there's still someone we never truly forgot. Some people are meant for each other, but life brings them together too early. So in the end, all that's left is regret instead of forever. If I met you later in life, when I was finally stable enough, and you were strong enough to understand my struggles, maybe we would have had a different ending. But you've never give second chances. Now all we can do is look at each other quietly, carrying the most beautiful love we ever had, and walk past each other one more time. Because the saddest thing isn't loving someone, it's still loving them when they no longer belong to you anymore. Back then we loved with all we had, in a tiny room, chasing better days. I was stuck between unfinished dreams, while you were lost in fears of growing up. Every time we passed a wedding shop, you'd smile and talk about the future. I stayed silent and looked away, 'cause all I had were promises. Never stopped loving each other. Life just got too heavy to hold. Two young hearts full of pressure, not knowing how to save what we had. Maybe we were the right people at the wrong time. I wasn't strong enough to give you peace, and you weren't ready to walk through the storms with me. And every fight became about money, about work, about dreams, about tomorrow. We hurt each other with words we never meant, until love was no longer enough to make us stay. Years later we met again by chance at the cafe where we used to sit. You look calmer than before, and I finally look like someone with direction. We talk like strangers with old memories, but our eyes still carried unfinished feelings. 'Cause deep inside both of us, there's still someone we never truly forgot. Some people are meant for each other, but life brings them together too early. So in the end, all that's left is regret instead of forever. If I met you later in life, when I was finally stable enough, and you were strong enough to understand my struggles, maybe we would have had a different ending. But you've never give second chances. Now all we can do is look at each other quietly, carrying the most beautiful love we ever had, and walk past each other one more time. Because the saddest thing isn't loving someone, it's still loving them when they no longer belong to you anymore. Back when we first fell in love, we didn't have much money at all, just cheap drinks and simple days. Yet somehow we were genuinely happy. I used to drive you through quiet streets at night, talking about our future with shining eyes. Back then we truly believed love alone could overcome everything. When life slowly became heavier, bills, work, and endless pressure, we both came home exhausted every day, with less softness left for each other. We truly loved each other once. No cheating, no betrayal, no sudden change. Life outside simply became too heavy, and love slowly turned tired. Sometimes relationships don't lose to another person, they lose to money, pressure, and adulthood. We still loved each other, we just no longer had strength to continue. Some arguments started over tiny things, but deep down it came from exhaustion. You became colder after terrible work days, and I was too tired to keep talking. Back then one hug fixed everything. Now both of us carry too many burdens. We never meant to hurt each other. Life just slowly wore our hearts down. The hardest part about growing up is realizing love can't survive on feelings alone. It also needs stability, responsibility, and enough strength to survive reality. We truly loved each other once. That's why goodbye hurts this much. Not because love disappeared, but because sometimes love alone isn't enough. And if we ever meet again someday, I hope you'll be happier than you were with me. And I hope you remember there was once someone who truly loved you through the hardest years of life. The day you said maybe we should end this, I just stood there quietly staring at you, thinking you'd come back in a few days, like you always did before. You were waiting for me to stop you, waiting for one last embrace. But my pride back then was bigger than my fear of losing you. I thought love that deep could never truly end. I never knew some goodbyes are final forever. If I had held you that day, would we still be together now? If I had pulled you into my arms, would you have cried that much? I thought silence was harmless until I truly lost you. Then I learned some people leave forever the moment you stop trying to keep them. After the breakup, I finally remembered how sad your eyes looked that day. Not the eyes of someone who stopped loving, but someone exhausted from trying too long. Maybe you gave me too many chances. I just never realized it until the room became empty and our conversations disappeared forever. People usually regret, not because they love the wrong person, but because they stayed silent in the moment they should have fought to stay. If I had held you that day, maybe things would be different now. Maybe these sad songs wouldn't remind me of you anymore. But life never lets us return to fix the moments we wasted. So even today, I still ask myself every night, what if I had held you that day? You look different tonight, not older, just softer somehow. Like life finally taught us both the things we used to fight about. We sat across from each other laughing, like strangers with familiar souls. And for the first time in years, being around you didn't hurt immediately. Funny how maturity arrives right after love leaves. If we met later, maybe we would've lasted. Now we both know how to listen, how to stay, instead of running away. You learned patience, I learned how to communicate, but timing has a cruel sense of humor, 'cause we became perfect for each other after we stopped belonging together. You told me about your new apartment, I talked about therapy and slowing down. We smiled at the versions of ourselves that used to destroy what we loved. Back then we were too emotional, too afraid, too proud to bend. Now we finally understand love, but with different people beside us. Maybe some relationships exist not to last forever, but to teach two people how to love correctly. saw you standing by the champagne table, white lights falling softly on your hair. Same eyes that used to know me better, now looking at me like a stranger, trying to be polite. It's been years since we burned down all the dreams we built together. Funny how time changes everything, except the way my heart reacts to you. Then the band started playing that old song from my 20s, and suddenly the whole room disappeared, except you and me. So we had one last dance, like the nights before everything fell apart. Your hands still fit perfectly in mine, and that almost broke me again. Then you smiled and whispered softly, I'm happy now. And all I could do was nod while my chest felt like it caved in. You talked about your new apartment, your golden retriever and peaceful life. I pretended I was doing good too, like people do when the truth still hurts. But every spin beneath those wedding lights felt like stepping back through time, back to kitchen dances at midnight, before love became something we lost. Nobody tells you the hardest goodbye is seeing someone you still love become happy without you. So the song ended way too soon, and you slowly let go of my hand, like maybe this was life reminding us some stories only belong to the past. You walked back toward your future, and I stayed frozen in that moment, smiling like a man who healed while silently breaking all over again. I saw you crossing downtown yesterday, hair falling exactly the same way, still laughing with your whole heart like you always used to with me. For 1 second time stopped moving, and every memory came rushing back, until I noticed somebody else holding your hand beside you. And suddenly it hit me harder than the breakup ever did. 'Cause you're not her anymore, not the girl who called me every night, not the one who wore my hoodie home or kissed me at red lights. You still have the same smile, same eyes I once got lost inside, but now they look at somebody else the way they used to look at me. You waved politely when you saw me, like strangers with old history, and God, the tiny moment hurt more than months of silence did. He whispered something that made you laugh, and I hated how natural it looked, like the universe already replaced me without asking if I was ready. Nobody warns you that one day the person you loved most will become someone you barely recognize, even while looking exactly but that one day the person you love becomes somebody else's home. I used to think as long as you stayed, we would never truly lose each other. So I kept hurting you carelessly, without seeing how lonely you had become. There were nights I made you wait too long, messages I read but never answered. You were more patient with me than anyone else. I just never realized it back then. Only after your voice disappeared from my room did I realize what mattered most. But sadly, people who've been hurt too deeply rarely come back again. Please don't love someone like me again, someone careless who always keeps you waiting. Don't love someone who only learns regret after losing the most precious thing in life. You deserve someone better than I was, someone who always chooses you first, someone who won't let you cry in silence the way I once did. And now I finally understand how to care, how terrifying it feels to lose someone. But every lesson came too late, after you were already gone. I thought growing up and chasing success, but in the end I learned the hardest thing in life is keeping the person who truly loves you. Some apologies, no matter how sincere, can never heal wounds that lasted far too long. If someone new entered your life someday, I hope they love you more gently than I did. I hope they never leave you waiting through lonely nights, or make you feel unwanted ever again. And I'll carry this regret for a very long time, as the lesson life forced me to learn that sometimes we become careless while someone is still beside us, and only realize their value after they're gone. We used to talk till 4 a.m. about random things again and again. You told me dreams about our future life, and I smiled like everything felt right. Back then whenever my phone would ring, my whole world lit up instantly. We always had too much to say, like we never run out of words someday. Somewhere along the way, those long Some conversations disappear. Feelings once deep as oceans turn into routine little phrases. Did you eat yet? How was work today? We still care about each other, but somehow we sound miles away. Love doesn't disappear overnight. It slowly fades with time, through shorter conversations and silence replacing laughter. We used to be something special until we became ordinary. Sometimes I read our old messages and realized how much we loved back then. You once stayed awake all night just to hear me talk about my day. I don't blame you for changing. Maybe we both just changed too much. People don't always break apart by betrayal. Sometimes they stop sharing their hearts. Oh, the saddest thing is watching someone you love the most become the hardest person to talk to. Even silence feels uncomfortable now. Did you eat yet? Ooh, get some sleep tonight. The same caring words remain, but they don't warm my heart anymore. Maybe real love is when two people never run out of things to say. And dying love is staring at each other without knowing how to begin. We used to be each other's whole world. Now we're just an old habit